He's there. Okay.
I don't see her.
I see it.
Teresa's there.
Yeah.
I go
Hello.
close the door. We're getting the feedback.
Is there any, Teresa, any public comment?
No public.
Okay. Any comments about the minutes, Mary Ann?
Nope, it all looked good.
They're approved. Let's look at the claims, 2021. Any questions? I noticed one thing. I didn't see Will Dan.
Oh, you're right.
Don't have any will down. I've got a few that will be paid. We paid a chunk that prior month,
Yeah.
but there was none this month, and I have about 4 or 5 invoices, but nothing. I don't believe that it's substantial. So
Okay.
hope that's a good thing.
Actually,
You made the.
Wildan is going to be going into almost dormant mode. Now that FEMA is complete, when Sandy Creek's over, the only thing we'll have for them really is just Buena Vista next spring. And then just day-to-day, Dave, engineering
And
meetings.
Steve,
And
and
just,
Steve, yeah,
and
traffic.
then Steve, yeah.
Just in time for Mike to leave the board.
Yeah.
He knew it was gonna be boring, so he might as well go.
I see that we paid the lump sum to CalPERS. How much did we
What was
save by
that?
doing that?
I believe it was about 3,000 or 4,000. I have to look back in there
Between, yeah.
Okay.
Which we
altogether.
figured, yeah, that was like equivalent to 3 or 3.5%, since it is a 90,000 or 90-some thousand thing, and we can't get that anywhere by just holding on to it and getting money from savings. So that was a good call by everybody.
And we paid not only the classic, but we paid the PEPRA, the little bit of unfunded liability on PEPRA too. I mean, it was only like $3,000, but still we
Okay.
paid that off too.
Okay, great.
One thing we should do, not now, not today, not this year, maybe, but I am concerned, and I didn't understand this until the meeting with the employees. I am concerned that if something were to happen that caused us to fold or end what we're doing, and let's say the county took over,
Okay,
our employees would be out.
It would be in tough shape.
It would be in tough shape. I am really concerned about that. I think next year we need to reopen the discussion about paying off the unfunded liability. I didn't understand that. I mean, I've never heard of that before in other states. It's always picked up by the state, but not here. And I really think that we need to have a discussion about that again. But now part of the problem is we have a lot of new members who don't understand won't understand this. So we will have to educate them before we can really have that discussion. But I think in the next year that needs to be reopened and rediscussed. I really am
Okay.
concerned for the employees in that regard. I don't think anything's going to happen. I'm not
Yeah.
concerned about that.
Well, I thank you, Robert, because it is very a weight on the back of your back, thinking, what if I'm sitting in a nursing home and they say, oh, sorry,
Yeah.
your retirement's going to be cut in half or 70% because it was not paid. So that's scary.
but
Well, if you're
Robert,
sitting in a nursing home, you probably won't worry about it.
I'm thinking that my mind will still be good and my body will be
I see,
shot.
okay. But we'll talk about that next year. I think this is
Yeah, okay, thank you. That's great.
okay. Okay, I didn't notice anything. Oh, I do have a question about what is R&R project?
That's roadway rehabilitation.
I see.
There was it on what street was the one where Dustin and Pedro took it upon themselves to kind of
Yeah.
do their first project, Jim?
Yeah.
Was it
Oh, it
on
was,
Sycamore Mesa?
Sycamore Mesa, yes.
Yeah, that was
On the web,
product for that.
yeah.
Now, the only thing is, if you go to the first page and you go up to, from the bottom, you go up to Quinn Company, the first one,
Yep.
there's a misspelling there. That should be excavator, not excavator.
Oh, well, that's a fact figure.
I will
Yeah,
fix
you're right.
that. Thank you.
Not digging up potatoes.
There's not such thing as excavator.
I thought maybe you're talking about French fries or something.
I'll fix that. Thank you.
Okay, I didn't see much else. Anything that you want to ask about, Mary Ann?
No, but just going back to what you were talking about, your worry about what would happen with retirement funds for the employees should we run out of funds and we'd have to have the county take over. It might behoove you to also talk to Debbie and just find out where your new board members are best aligned to take on various projects like that. You're gonna need to think about that.
Sure. I think we'll do it in the finance committee. I'm probably going to be in charge of that again.
Yes.
Probably. I mean, I don't
Right.
know.
But
But I-
who would be the other person on the finance committee? You
Exactly.
get the one that is really interested in that, and
Exactly.
Debbie's gonna need somebody on the engineering committee, and just kind of line ducks up, because the three new board members are not necessarily gonna know where things are and what's ahead of them.
Right.
So
I
It
thought we might take a board session.
okay,
And we did this a few years ago, some years ago. And we actually had some expert come in. We don't necessarily need that this time. I don't know, maybe we do, come in and explain the issue.
okay,
And then that might not be a bad idea, take a 30-minute part of a board meeting so that everybody's up to speed on what the problem is, and then we can go from there.
good idea.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, what about, I'm
very-
sorry, go ahead.
Very good thinking. I'm glad you, brought that up, and, can get to work on what can we do and what kind of funds and how to address it best. So
Right.
good thinking, Robert. Okay,
Update on FEMA.
Okay, and I just realized this, I don't even think I mentioned this to Jim. I did make a large deposit several weeks ago, and it was for the state portion of, I remember I kept saying we got a 450,000 for the federal portion on the large project reimbursement request. We requested a drawdown for
Yep.
the money we've expended. Well, we got about 175,000 over two different deposits. So we're close to $1.5 million now in FEMA funds. So the next thing we can do is when we actually start Sandia Creek and Via Vaquero, we can, every time we make a progress payment to the contractor, we then turn around, send that to FEMA, get boom, issued right away, and we'll get that. So there's not going to be this long
Line
term waiting on those things. Yeah.
great,
So
good idea.
that's
Excellent.
it.
How about roadway rehabilitation fund?
Now, I planned on giving you an update, the roadway rehab spreadsheet that we do. I've got it like half done right now because it needed so much updating because of FEMA and assessment fees that have been coming in. So I'm not quite done with it, so I apologize, and I will have that all decked out and ready to go for next month's finance meeting, and we'll go over it because there's a
Great.
lot of new detail on it.
Great.
Can we go back to FEMA?
Okay.
I just want to report that if you recall, there's about 500,000, just rounding. Is it 545, Teresa, or 445?
It's 544, I believe.
$544,000.
Yeah.
in, what's the term for it, Teresa?
It's called an NSPO, and what that is all of our small projects, we were told at the end, you just simply ask for this money back because it was overrun, and that's FEMA's term that was given to us by our project leader from FEMA. So at the end of all the small projects, we had an overrun of 544,000. So
Right.
that's what Jim is speaking of.
Now, our FEMA representative who worked with us for over a year, every week,
Mhm.
essentially oversaw everything we were doing on these small projects. And he would tell us that where we bill that is we have to wait till the end to get various things reimbursed, and they were called overruns. And, you know, we all laughed about typical federal government, everything's an overrun and all this. But his advice to us is that that's really not true overrun. It's just as things occur in designing and engineering it, additional work that needs to be done because of standards and codes and things like that, environmental, et cetera. You just put that in at the end and then you get reimbursed. And what happened is we did that. And the state, you've heard us griping about this Bridget. Bridget's not FEMA. She's state of California. So they went through our application, which has to pass through them first. And they recommended to FEMA that it be turned out completely. And so we appealed that and worked with Bridget. I even went to Sacramento for the day, met with the head of Cal OES, David Gillings, and said, what do you want us to do? And Stein and Teresa worked for like a month nonstop doing that. And then it came back last spring, denied again. So we have one last alternative, and that is either appeal back to the state. Well, that we didn't do very well the first two times, so that didn't seem like a very good option. Or the other option is arbitration, and you can go to an arbitration board in Washington D.C. and they'll oversee the whole thing, and they have the power to direct FEMA to pay any amount of that 500, all, none, or part of that. So we checked that box. We went down that road. David Gillings 2 weeks ago called me himself. He's the top dude of Cal OES. For some reason, he didn't want us to do arbitration. And he said, well, if you list every code and standard and mandate that your engineers designed over. This isn't all of it, but it's, you know, if there was a head wall or there was extra rock, there was riprap, whatever. So Ron, for the last week, that's all he's done, and he did that. The problem is Gillings was hoping that I could withdraw our arbitration request, but there's no way to do that. Legally, we would have to have it dismissed, and that would put us in jeopardy because if they dismissed it, even at our request,
Mhm.
the appeal could be considered adjudicated. So our first meeting on arbitration is Friday. We've presented our information to Gillings, and Gillings said, there's nothing I can do at this stage. You've got to continue down that path. And he said, but something to the effect that this is exactly what you need to help your case in arbitration. And our case is essentially going to be two things. All this information that Ron has attached to any true overrun, like they think that we spent too much money on riprap. Well, he's citing the California code or the federal code that requires much riprap, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the second is we're going to have to subpoena as our witness, Bill Cleveland, and ask him, did the district submit this properly at your direction? And that'll be our case.
Okay.
So that starts Friday, and Friday is just the conference, and that will be Ward. And it's by telephone. And I'll be on the line, Teresa will be on the line, Ron will be on the line, but there's really not much. It's more of the judges telling us what she wants for the presentations. And then we'll do that. And there is an attorney with BB&K, his name's Piero. He will actually make our presentation because that's what he does. So he's done this and he's licensed because this is a federal court. So, but for this preliminary hearing, Ward will just be our representative.
Will we get attorney's fees out of this, or are we into that?
I don't think so. I guess we can pray for that from the court.
Well, I think you could ask the attorney about that, and I think we should ask for that.
I think so too. I agree. I'll bring that up with them.
Right. So, good. You had mentioned that to me, and I was about to ask you about that. So I appreciate the update.
That's where we are. So I really hoped a week ago that we would be able to work this out with Gillings. And
Yeah.
he told me on the phone that we're only the third one that's ever done this ever in his career. And he's won one and he's lost one. And he said, you really get an opportunity to tell your story, even though these are judges. There's a 3-judge tribunal. And this came about as a result of Katrina, where people said FEMA ripped them off and they didn't get a fair hearing and a say. So I guess things are much more relaxed there. And he said the one that they won, they probably shouldn't have. The one they lost, they probably should have won. And he said, so you just don't know. And I don't know what, there's something we don't understand about why the state is denying their own constituents, us being a California agency, why they go through us with a fine tooth comb and then tell FEMA to deny it. Like, what's in it for them? And like, who paid this Bridget lady to hound us for a month nonstop? So there's something in this whole puzzle that I don't understand.
Right.
Maybe someday I'll understand. There's got to be something in this for the state that if they don't give the money to us, that maybe that money goes to them. Otherwise, why would they care? You'd think that they should have sent Bridget here if she's so smart. Why didn't she help us prepare our application instead of rip it to shreds? And then we did everything she said, and then we sent it back in and they still denied it. So it just doesn't make common sense. I'm missing something here, but maybe in the process we'll find out. I can tell.
It may have a limited amount of funds, a certain set amount. And, with the fires and everything, they may feel they have to spread it around to other deserving projects. I don't know.
See, that's what I think. It's something along those lines. And what I think it would be better for Gillings to say what you just said, is that we're all one state and we've all got to, do our part. And maybe we wouldn't like that, but we certainly don't like where we're at now. I could live with that easier than where we're at. But it's all this smoke and mirrors and games go on up there. So anyway, we touched a chord with our arbitration, because I was in that conference in Monterey and I got a phone call with the head of Cal OES and his cell phone saying, call me immediately. And I walked out into the courtyard and we talked for 45 minutes. And he's trying to figure out how we could not do this arbitration. But when I hung up, I didn't understand. How did it get clear to his level?
Right.
I don't know. I'll report back when we get some results here.
Good, thanks.
Sounds
Okay,
good.
the deposit, the $6 million deposit. Did you have something to tell us about that, Teresa?
I don't have anything to tell you. I don't have anything good to tell you about it.
Okay.
So,
I thought maybe it got lost or something.
no, it's there, $5.903 million we have in late.
And 58 cents.
Oh, I'm sorry, 58 cents.
That's
And the
right.
interest rate is 0.22.
That's
Oh.
right.
Oh. Now, don't forget, we're gonna be, in a couple of months, we're gonna be writing some very substantial checks for Sandy Creek and Via Vaquero.
Right.
So, that will be reduced to about, I'd say this is 9, by 12/9/21, that number will probably be what, Teresa, about?
At least,
4, 8,
at least $1 million less,
at least, yeah.
minimum.
So
Yeah.
we should be getting that back.
I say a 1.2, 1.3 million is closer probably to the actual number.
Right. Any word on when he's going to start work on that?
They're saying the 25th, he has to
Yeah.
start by the 25th of October. That's his drop
But
dead
he
date.
needs to start sooner than that.
Yeah,
I'm guessing they'll start probably right around somewhere between the 1st and the 7th, the first week of October, because there's a lot of prep work they've got to do
Right.
down there. And that doesn't take waiting on materials. So
Right.
I haven't heard, and I'm not sure they've actually said exactly, but they must, per the contract, be in the ground by the 25th of October.
Okay. Okay.
And I believe that issue about getting the pipes from China or whatever the problem was, that's all been resolved. I just haven't heard how. So
Okay.
they have the pipes, or the pipes will be here.
Okay, great. Did Julie ask you about that?
Yeah, she did actually. And I told her similar to what I told you, not in as great a detail. And she was happy with that.
Good.
And made comments about the speeders and all the traffic and all
Right.
that. The one thing she didn't comment on is the condition of a road. And if you remember the pictures at the board meeting, the two roads, there's 3 portions of the detour, 3 different roads. And 2 of them are fine, and their road is somewhat damaged. And in talking with the engineers after the board meeting, it almost seems like we can use our maintenance funds, get a contractor, or if Dustin wants to take it on again, we could do that. And just fix those, make those repairs. You're going to see those repairs for a while, but since that wasn't slurried, just make them first on our next slurry sale, which could be next summer. We haven't talked about that yet. But to go out there and try to do a slurry job and make it look really, really fabulous, that's really expensive to do that, because it's just so small of an area. So, but there's still probably 25% of the district hasn't been slurried at this point. So maybe we could just do that, finish all the slurry up next summer, and then make sure that they're the first ones done.
Okay, good.
Oh, that's kind of what we're thinking, but we're going to talk to engineering committee about it.
Great.
Break that's going in.
Any update on the gas tax?
We're going to talk about that after this meeting. We need to have a fuel tax, or not fuel tax, a legislative committee, which is the 2 of you. So when
Yep.
this meeting concludes, I'll give you those updates, because there's some strategy issues that we need to talk about.
Okay, well, if there's nothing further, we can adjourn this meeting.
okay. All right, I'm going to stop recording. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.